Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under. In this video we are taking a look at a very special new Disney history book that is being published by the great folk over at Disney Editions. This book has been written by the wonderful Disney historian Mindy who previously wrote the book Tinkerbell and Evolution. This book is just about the first of its kind and really the comprehensive text on the subject. We are of course talking about Ink and Paint, the women of Walt Disney's animation. This book is so big, I'm struggling to actually fit it in the frame. I was actually shocked at the size of this book when I first pulled it out of the box. And really, this is such a stunning book. I've had a brief flick through this, and I'm so excited to properly flick through this with you guys. So how about, without further ado, we get right into it. Okay, here it is, Ink and Paint, the Women of Walt Disney's Animation by Mindy Johnson. This book is stunning right from the outset. The cover on this is gorgeous. I like the little spot coloring we've got on the ink tubs right here. Really beautiful. Again, the one thing that really strikes me about this book is actually how thick it is. It's a really, really thick volume right here. This isn't something that I was actually expecting, and the volume itself is huge. Like, the size of it is really, really big. And it makes the price point of it really easy to handle, especially when you get something so beautifully produced and so thick and so comprehensive. Oh, it's stunning. It's stunning. I absolutely love it. We flip over to the back cover as well. I love the artwork that's been selected for this. This is awesome, and those colors that are just bursting off that cover right there are really, really beautiful. They're just such nice ink colors. Doesn't that just like scream classic Disney animation to you when you get a look at all these just beautiful colors that they had here at the studio? That's just the spine right there, very plain black, and you got the title of the book right there. I think that's really nice. I always like it when it's just sort of a nice plain spine. It's not too, you know, bombastic or anything. That's really nice. What we are going to do is actually take off this here, because both I want to show you this, which is such a gorgeous cover. I love when they do this, like the fabric covered cover. It's sort of a nice silvery sort of text on there, which is really nice, see? But I also want to take it off because I don't like flicking through books with the dust cover on, because I always feel it ruins the dust cover. And of course the spine has got that silvery thing there. Nothing on the back though. So let's delve deep into the rabbit hole that is the Ink and Paint book right here. Now, as always, again, if you're familiar with my book reviews, I know a lot of people out there on YouTube like to go through the entire book. I don't do that. One, I feel it's disrespectful to the author to show an entire book before you can actually get your hands on it. It's almost sort of like, I almost feel it's sort of like bootlegging, like you're putting up a whole movie on YouTube, putting up a whole book on YouTube. But also I feel that when you sit down to a book, you need to be able to experience the magic for yourself firsthand of just going through the entire book, just sitting down, just devouring a book, seeing everything for the first time with your very own eyes. I think that's such a very important part of the book reading experience, especially when it comes to a big, beautiful volume like this. So I'm going to give you just a quick flip through the book to give you an idea of what's in here, the pictures, the text, everything, and then you guys can make up your mind whether you go out and buy this. Hint, you should buy this. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's open it up. We've got the contents page here, so that basically tells you about what this book is going to be about. Of course, this book focuses on the women in Walt Disney Animation between the 1920s and the 1980s, but it specifically has a very heavy focus on the women in the ink and paint department in the 1930s and the 1940s, who colored all of our favorite animated shorts and all of our favorite animated films like Snow White and Pinocchio and just all those gorgeous golden age cartoons. They were all inked by these wonderful women in the Walt Disney Animation Studios. These women were as important to the film making process as the animators themselves, because these are the people who put the beautiful color onto the cells, the beautiful color onto the screen that we've seen. So this whole book is a beautiful love letter to these wonderful, often not so well acknowledged people who worked at the Disney Studios. And it's actually something that has fascinated me for a very, very long time. But there hasn't been a comprehensive text published on it. In fact, the only thing I've ever really seen published on the women in the ink and paint department was a Vanity Fair article quite a few years ago. It's a really nice article, but it really doesn't delve as deep as Mindy dares to delve in this book. I mean, again, look how thick it is. And of course, you've seen glimpses of it in classic documentaries and all that kind of stuff, but really nothing to this level, which is finally fantastic because I'm so excited to go through this and read up on this topic that has fascinated me for many, many years. So what we're looking at here is sort of an introduction to the ink and paint department, sort of an introduction to the beginning of film and animation and everything, women in film, which I think is such a really beautiful place to start for this book. Then we see a little bit about the women in Walt Disney's world, the women that shaped him in his early life. I think that's also, again, a really nice place to go to. A little bit of the beginnings of the Walt Disney Studio, so giving us a background on the studio itself. So really we get a nice little history of the early days of Walt Disney Studios too, which I think is just as fascinating as anything else. It's one of my favorite points, one of my favorite topics when it comes to Disney animation is the beginnings of the studio. It's what inspires me the most. And then we get a little bit into the sort of development of the ink and paint department and the early days of color animation. So really, Mindy gives us this really beautiful backstory here, the history of the studio before color animation, and I think it's just a really nice way to present this book. And of course, some gorgeous artwork in here as well. And here we go, we learn about the beginnings of the wonderful ink and paint department, which is such a heavy focus of this beautiful volume here. So again, I'm just going to flick through and just show you a few of the pages here. Really nice, get some gorgeous artwork. Some stuff I don't think I've ever seen published in volumes before, which is always a sign of a great Disney historical book. And of course we get these beautiful little snippets, these little things that tell us a little bit about specific artists who were working in the ink and paint department, which I think is very cool too. So each artist gets their own sort of little spotlight in here, so we can learn not just about the department itself, but the people who were in it. And then again, it's this really nice view over sort of the techniques that these people employed to the artworks, airbrushing, final checking, camera, etc., etc. Look, this book is really gorgeous. So again, it's broken up in the eras. So we've seen the 20s, the 30s, then we get into the 40s. Mindy's provided also a historical background on each era and given us sort of like the big events that have happened in those years, which I think is really great as well. We also get information on the artists as well. This isn't just about the women, but we also get a little information on the male artists that were working at the studio as well. So it gives us a really nice juxtaposition of really everything you want to know about this specific topic, what it's like for the animator to animate something and then hand it over to an inker to ink the animation. While of course you're going to have to talk about the men who were at the studio as well, who were drawing the cartoons and animating them. Really gorgeous prints in here, and again I have to go pages at a time. And of course there were some wonderful women who were working on the Disneyland attractions as well. I mean, Mary Blair did a lot of the designs for It's a Small World, and there were a lot of women in the model shop as well, which you see right here. So it really gives you just an overview. Again, the ink and paint is only a section of this book, it's a heavy focus of it, but really it is a focus of the wonderful women over the years who have contributed to the legacy of Disney animation and Disney entertainment basically. And then at the back, everyone gets their nice, wonderful little picture in here as well. This is such, as I said at the beginning, it's a beautiful love letter to all these wonderful people who have worked at the studio over the years, who have almost gone on to become unsung heroes of Walt Disney animation. From the outset, you might think this is some sort of feminist book about, women in it, but it's not. It completely isn't. This is such an important book because the women in Walt Disney animation, especially in the early years, were such a prominent part of these films that we all know and love. And over the years, they just haven't had the recognition that they deserve. And what this book brings, what Mindy brings to this book, is something that we've just never seen in any Disney publication ever. And it's a heavy focus on the women who have contributed to Disney animation and entertainment over the years. So glad we finally have the chance to be able to focus so heavily on that section of the studio. Again, with the slipcover on it right there, this is Ink and Paint, The Women of Walt Disney's Animation, written by Mindy Johnson. This is a spectacular volume. I have to say it straight off the bat. Not only is this the most comprehensive book that's ever been written on this topic, I think that this is going to go forward as the most quintessential text on this topic. I mean, no one else is really going to need to delve into this because it's been covered so thoroughly and so lovingly by Mindy. Mindy has written a really, really gorgeous book here, and this is going to be a classic for Disney historians and a classic when it comes to Disney history and art books. This is a must-have for the collection if you are into these books. So I reckon go and grab this book because this is spectacular. That is once again Ink and Paint, the Women of Walt Disney's Animation by Mindy Johnson. This book is available to purchase right now. I purchased it, of course, from my favourite book place in the whole entire world, Book Depository. They received the stock of this about 2 weeks prior to release date, as they sometimes do with some books, like all the Marvel art books that I purchased. They always tend to somehow get in stock quite early, and they were offering this for 45% off. I think they still are at the time of recording and uploading this video. So make sure you go and check out Book Depository if you want to get your hands on this book and get a really good deal. I have posted a small link down the bottom so you can head over to Book Depository and buy it. I've also posted an Amazon link down there if you're more inclined to purchase from Amazon, or try your luck and check out one of your local bookstores, and hopefully they'll have a copy of this. But I found the Book Depository deal was just too good to pass up. Cost me $60 Australian, down from something like $130 Australian, something crazy like that. And I think either price really is a decent price for this great volume here. I would have paid full price for this just to support such a wonderful book like this, but it just so happened that I got an amazing bargain through Book Depository. So go and pick this up as you can. Please support the author, support this wonderful book. As I said, this is going to go down as one of the most important Disney history books in history. I'm going to say that right now. So, Ink and Paint, the Women of Walt Disney's Animation, available to purchase right now. I'm going to put that down because it's quite heavy. And that just about wraps up today's video. If you are a first-time viewer of the channel, this is the first video of mine that you've seen, and you'd like to see some more, please, after the jump, give me some support and hit subscribe. To all my regular viewers out there, thank you once again for joining me, and to absolutely everybody out there, I hope I'll see you again soon. Until next time though, guys, take care, and I hope you have a magical day.